Namaste, yogis. I'm Melissa, and I'll be guiding you through a sequence to help you unwind after a long day, or maybe if you're having some trouble sleeping, a great way to just relax and settle down the mind before you curl in under the sheets. We'll begin today against the wall, and actually most of our practice will be up against the wall. So find yourself some space, grab a blanket or a beach towel, a bolster if you have one, or a couple of bed pillows work great, and maybe 2 blocks as well. If you don't have 2 blocks, 2 big books will do just fine. And when you're ready, maybe take your blanket or your towel and pull it all the way up against the wall, just for a little added cushion for the low back. And we'll start in legs up the wall. So in this one, we want to make sure that our tailbone is really close to the wall when we get started. So what I suggest is take your hip all the way up against the wall and then roll down onto the opposite side so that you're in a fetal position. And then take a moment and scoot your sits bones up against the wall here. It'll save you some time and some scooching when you kick your legs up. And then once you have both points connected to the wall, you'll just start to turn onto your back. You'll maybe slide yourself to the center of that blanket, and then play with extending the legs. So this might be a lot, especially if you're a little bit cranky through the hamstrings right now, and you might just start with a soft bend. You might start with a deep bend and then begin to scrub the wall. But wherever you are, take the first few moments to fidget. So this may be our first time in an inversion today with our feet over our heart. So maybe take a moment to just wiggle the toes, to roll out the ankles, maybe pump some of that edema, some swelling from sitting all day back into the heart so that we can remove it out of the body, all that waste material that we don't need. And then just like any other practice, we'll bring the elbows into the body, bring the shoulder blades onto the back so the heart lifts ever so slightly. And then for today's practice, we'll begin with our hands just resting on our low belly. We'll take a moment, shrug the shoulders to the ears, and then settle them down. Squeeze all the muscles of the face, so frown, furrow your brow. And then with an exhale, just release all of those muscles, even the fine muscles around the eyes, let them go. And then start to feel the rise and fall of the belly. Notice if the inhale has that inflation of the belly, and the exhale has that depression, that letting go. Just start to tune into that push and that pull. The inhale lifts the belly, and the exhale softens the belly. And for the purpose of this practice, we'll really live with the softening. So every time we feel some part of our body start to expand and do work, we'll see how we can soften and settle it back in. And maybe beginning to set the intention, I will settle. I will settle my breath. I will settle my mind. I will settle my body. We're not settling in the sense of surrender. We're settling in the sense of ease and effortlessness. Maybe checking in if knees are bent into the chest. Maybe just extend one leg and see how that feels. Keep a soft bend in the knees so that we're not hyperextending. Maybe extend the other leg, just see how that feels. And if you get there and it's too much, just drag the knees back into the body. Stay where your mind isn't fighting for comfort in the body, but is really sorting through the thoughts of the day and finding ease any way it can. And if you've connected with your breath in your belly, slide your hands to your outer rib cage, and now start not only to fill top to bottom, but now start to fill the body right and left as well. So as you inhale and you expand, the belly lifts, the rib cage unknits, slides out right and left. And then that exhale just draws everything back in. It's almost like our bodies, we left for work today, or we ran errands, or we went and saw family, whatever it was, we expanded out of our safe space. And now that we're back in the comfort of our own home, we're exhaling and pulling that back in, that shift from being out to coming home. I will settle. Inhale, elevates the belly, expands the rib cage. And the exhale just draws us back in. And add another element. So we're breathing belly to crown of the head, rib cage right to left. Now can you breathe front and back? As much as you feel the front side of the body lifting away, can you depress the back side of the body into the floor? So that the torso becomes more than just this hunk of flesh and bone. It's a vacuum, a container to pull breath in, to expand, to fill our body with prana, even if it's a soft, relaxing prana, rather than our lion's breath or our Bhastrika breath, where we're trying to get energy in. Now we're letting energy flow gently, a slow moving brook, inhaling and expanding outward, and exhaling and drawing in. We'll start to change our shape, coming into a gentle twist. And I have two flavors of this twist for you. If low back is a sensitive space, what I'd like for you to do is bend the knees, walk them down towards the body. Keep the left hand on the left rib cage, but take the right hand out to the right and just let the knees fall over to the right. And you'll know pretty quickly if that's an okay space. If you can still feel your left shoulder onto the mat, brilliant. But if you feel like you rolled all the way over, reach for your block and just prop the block underneath the knees. If you need more space, 2 blocks, more space, a bolster. If you got here and this feels really mild and you'd like just a little bit more, not that we're searching for a super active stretch, but we need a little bit more for our bodies, what I'll have you do is walk back to knees to chest, extend the legs. And now listen, instead of sliding, what I want you to do is walk the heels over with the legs extended. We'll take this a little deeper into the outer hip, taking the legs all the way down to a space that feels good. If you come down and that top leg isn't quite settled, you can shift a block in between the legs. Use that to help stabilize the sacrum so we're not pulling too much with that top leg. And then journey into the shoulders. So if the lower body feels grounded and safe, then maybe expand the left arm out to the left to keep the elbows soft. Take a big inhale, lift your chin towards the sky. And then exhale as you bring your chin over your left shoulder. Just look out over that arm. And then soften the gaze. Maybe you're just looking past the tip of the nose. Maybe the eyes are closed. Wherever you are, just continuing to feel the body shifting gears. Inviting the body to surrender into gravity, to let everything be what it is. You might even imagine your day as being a snow globe, shook, seeing all the glitter and pretty snow swirl around you. And as you come onto the mat for this practice, it's like the swirling has stopped. And slowly everything's starting to drift down towards the bottom. Invariably, there's still pieces moving around, swirling around. But bit by bit, breath by breath, it starts to soften. It starts to move towards the bottom of that snow globe. If that's a little too wild for you, maybe you start to notice how your heart has changed from the start to now. Maybe you notice the beats have a little more space in between them. Maybe you notice the breath is a little fuller, a little deeper. Wherever you are, just breathing easily and finding your space in your body. If at any time there starts to be tingling or numbness anywhere in the body, that's a really good indicator that we've gone too far, too fast. We can bend the left elbow, take it into the body. We can always bend the knees if we need. Spend the next few breaths settling everywhere we can. Gently bend the left arm, slide it into the rib cage. And if legs are extended, we'll go ahead and bend the knees. You can keep your block in between your knees if you have one there, your bolster. Use your right bicep as a pillow and just take a moment in a fetal position. Taking some breaths in to calm down anything that might have stirred up with that twist. And just inviting the left side to release. Reach down for your block or your bolster and just settle it out beside you. Use your left hand to roll towards your back as you walk your feet and really use the wall here. Let it be a true prop for you. Walk the feet back in. Before we come to the other side, we'll come into a gentle Malasana. So feet are relatively close to one another. We'll just start to heel toe them out. Let the knees move to the outside edges of the body. Let the toes turn out. And then some of you may need a little more, so you might even press your feet into the wall and reach for your bolster or your rolled up blanket and slide it underneath your low back to elevate the tailbone a little bit and let the knees fall out, just giving ourselves a little more space between the wall and our tailbone. And of course, if you got there and it just feels uncomfortable or in any way disorienting, press into the wall to lift your hips and take your bolster out from behind. And then if you like, you can even take your hands to your inner thighs and just use the warmth of your hands to help those muscles lengthen and open. We're not pressing, we're literally just using the temperature of our hands to help those muscles ease. And if you like, you can always turn your toes out, you can walk them out a little bit further. You can really make this practice your own. You just want to make sure that you're not using any muscles. You're literally just letting the body be where it can stay and maintain for a long period without any discomfort. It's not about effort at all. It's about truly doing nothing but letting your body settle in. Slide your hands to the outside edges of your thighs. Start to support the feet walking in towards one another. We'll take the feet away from the wall, bring the shins in towards the body. Just let the tailbone roll up. Maybe even rock a little side to side. Maybe we found some discomfort because we've been lying on our back for so long. It happens, we can get numb. It's just waking that space back up, and we'll move to the twist in the other side. So test the waters here. It might be very different than the other side. You might be working with an injury or an imbalance. So as we move, maybe we bend the knees just like we did before. We walk the feet over, let the knees fall. Experiment with expanding the right arm out. Or we walk back and take it with the feet extended. And again, using our wall. It's a great prop. It keeps us honest. It gives us support. And then if you come over and you feel as though the body is shifted too much, reach for your block or your bolster. It's really nice to have that block or bolster in between the thighs because it stabilizes the SI joint. It doesn't make us pull too much from one side. We get a little bit used to asking more of our body than it's used to. With that left arm extended, maybe the right arm stays into the body, onto the rib cage. Maybe you extend the right fingertips out and shift your gaze. Knowing that gaze is always relative. It's the direction of your face, but you're welcome to close your eyes if it feels safe. You're welcome to just stare past the edge of your nose or look at nothing in particular in the room and just separate yourself from what's going on in your mind. Start to tune into really what's going on in your body. I like to think of tension as a constant game of tag. As soon as we release it in one spot, it shifts and it finds another place to move. Once we let it out of our hip, it might move into our low back, into the opposite shoulder. Heck, it loves to live in our face. Just feel for those little lines around the eyes, the furrow of the brow, and soften them as you can. Every time we move, we're shaking our body's snow globe, and every time we settle in and look for rest, we're letting that snow, that glitter just settle to the bottom. We're here for a few more breaths. Knowing, just as before, if we need to, we can bend the knees. You might even tune into the knees. Do you feel like you're trying to straighten them? Is there activity there? And if there is, let it be. We'll invite that right arm into the body. Slowly roll onto our left side. Use our left arm as a pillow. And this time we'll take our bolster or block out from between our knees. We'll slowly walk our feet in a little bit closer to the body. Use that to press ourselves up. We'll walk our knees over so that we come to find a seat on our blanket. And we'll find a gentle, easy seat, Sukhasana, which is very different for all of us. So I invite you, if you have your blocks, to cross your ankles and settle the blocks way up under the thighs so that there's no pulling in knees whatsoever. Even if you sit in Sukhasana and you're perfectly flat, still prop those blocks there. And then your bolster or your blanket, just lay it in your lap, fold it, press your spine into the wall. Your hands will just come onto the opposite side of the bolster, the forearms fully rested. We'll take Dhyana Mudra, so rest your right palm just in front of your body. Your left hand will settle on top of it, and then your thumbs will come together. We'll slowly close down the eyes, maybe just looking at eyelashes fluttering together, feeling that softening completely. We'll feel the length of our spine pressing into the wall gently, nothing forced. We'll relax the shoulders. We'll let go of tension in our backside. We'll start to tune back into that breath from the start of class. We'll inhale as we expand right and left, top to bottom, front to back, knowing it's a full breath. And maybe as we're here seated, we start to feel that breath as our own internal snow globe. So we inhale, we shake our body, we fill it with energy. And as we exhale, we invite the body to settle, all of those things floating in the water to come back to stillness. And stillness is relative. Fidget, give yourself permission to find ease. Don't simply sit some way because I've asked you to. Sit some way because it feels sustainable and effortless. And if it's not effortless, prop it in a way that it is. Shift, boogie, find space, and come back. Keep the hands just as they are, but let the left ear float over to the left shoulder. Invite the right shoulder to fall away. It'll love to follow the right ear, but just mentally sever that connection. Feeling the left hand rest into the right, the thumbs connected easily. Inhale, use the wall to bring your head back to neutral. And then invite the right ear to fall over to the right shoulder. Feel how the left shoulder wants to follow the left ear, let it go. Inhale the head back to center. Align the ears over the shoulders. Release Dhyana Mudra and take your hands out by your side. Fingertips just gently graze the earth. And then use the wall to inhale as you lift the arms up overhead. And maybe they come just at shoulder height. Maybe they come all the way overhead. Wherever they go without resistance, let them go there. And then exhale and bring them back down. Knowing that everyone's shoulders will be so different. It doesn't matter how high or how low yours go, merely that they move. And then we'll do that 2 more times. Big in-breath, lazily drag the arms up the wall. Release the tension arising in the chest as you do. And then exhale when they've reached that point and let them slide back down. One last one. Let it be the most comforting one that you've taken all class. Inhale, fill the body. And exhale, let the body release. Take the hands back to the bolster. Let the palms face down this time. Let the shoulders settle. Draw the chin towards the chest. Soften the belly. Notice if you were overinflating, if you were pulling in too much, or if you're just right through the center, supporting this seated pose. And with an inhale, just draw the chin back to neutral. Blink the eyes open softly. Take one last shape before we settle in for our final rest. Moving away from the wall, we'll bring our blocks, come into supported Baddha Konasana, supported cobbler's pose. The soles of the feet will be together eventually. Reach for your blanket or your towel, fold it in half just one more time so that it's not quite as flat, it's almost 5 inches instead of 3 or 2. Rest your bolster or your pillow just on top so you have a slight elevation of the head. Let the soles of the feet come together further away from the body than we would normally practice. Bring the blocks underneath the thighs. So often we prop the knees, but let it come under the thighs so that there is really no holding in the hips. Sacrum connects to the pillow or bolster, and we rest back. Bring your hands together just in front of your heart, and then I want you to rub them together vigorously. You'll start to feel heat and friction. And then I want you to cup your hands. Place the heels of your hands over your eyes, the fingertips pointing towards the hairline. And just notice the sensation of warmth, of energy, of darkness. Let this help to activate our intuition. Turning on our third eye space, blocking out our sight that we may start to see with our true nature. See past obscurity and into how things really are. One more time, bring the hands together, rub them together vigorously. Start to feel that energy, that prana, that life force. And then settle the palms of the hands over the eyes once more. You might even notice the little slivers of light that peek through, watching those photons settle into darkness, those last vestiges of light start to float down into the darkness. Release the hands down by your side, maybe palm side up, a little gesture of opening. That might be a lot for you, and you might feel more grounded by crossing the arms over the chest and just letting the hands hang down on either side. I find for myself, especially if I'm having any anxiety during the day, that covering my heart and giving myself this nice big hug is a beautiful way to settle some of those feelings of vulnerability, letting myself be safe. We're on the downward slope. We're a few breaths from Shavasana. If you have your arms crossed, maybe just crossing them the other way for a touch of balance. the tailbone ground in. Releasing the bind with the arms if you have it, and then I'll invite you to take Shavasana a couple different ways. So you may be super happy here, in which case by all means stay here. You might like to bring your blocks underneath your knees with your legs extended and rest in what I like to call lawn chair. Or you may even like to take a slightly different supported Shavasana with your head on that rolled blanket and the bolster underneath your knees, or your pillow underneath your knees. Wherever you are, take a few moments to fidget. Again, give yourself that permission to get comfortable. It'd be really nice if we could simply say, and I'm relaxed, and the whole body just settled in. But the reality is we are a very complex organism. We have a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of thoughts and responsibilities and daily tasks that really keep us spinning some days. So if you're new to practice and you're having some trouble, some challenge finding yourself at rest, welcome to yoga. You're one of us. We're all just trying to settle. We're trying to surrender in and make that balance between life on the go and our very active lifestyles to nourishing and nurturing our body with ease, rest, and relaxation. Take a moment to relax the hands, let go of holding. Release the face. Swallow to relax the throat. Taking a big inhale, fill up as much as you can. And on the exhale, sigh it out. Breathe gently for the next few moments, and I will call you back when it's time. Wherever you are, place your right hand over your heart, your left on top of your right, holding your own heart and making the commitment to yourself. I will settle. I will settle my mind. I will settle my body. I will find peace within the two, that I may live my best life. Namaste.
I invite you to stay here as long as you can, yogis. Maybe you even fallen into a gentle sleep, but take time to take care of you. Thank you all so much for trusting me with your practice.